Hi Piano One. Today we are going to be talking about some note values, and I want to make sure that by the end of this lesson we can identify them visually, we can say what their name is, and we know what their duration is, how long they last. So for some of us this is review. If in the first semester you did really well on this material, this should be a piece of cake. If you still need a little bit of help in identifying those, this lesson is for you. So we are going to first start out with our whole note. The whole note. Now the easiest way to remember this is it looks like a whole. Now the important thing about a whole note to know is that it takes up the whole bar. So say for example we are in 4/4 time, which is what we've been working in. You always have your time signature at the beginning of your music. So if I look at this top number here, it says 4. The top number will always tell me how many beats one measure gets. So I have 4 beats in one measure, and I know if my whole note takes up the whole bar, it's going to last for 4 counts. 4 counts. So again, that is the whole note, and it lasts for 4 counts or 4 beats. Our next note value we are going to talk about is the half note. All of these note values we are talking about within the scope of 4/4 time. We're not changing that part. So all of these will be operating within measures that last 4 beats long. Now our half note looks just like a whole note, except it has a stem on it as well. So I'll go ahead and write that down. I start with what looks like my whole note, and then I add a stem. I add that stem to the right if it's facing up. Now there's another way to show half notes, and it all depends on where it's located in the staff. And if it is above halfway up the staff, then I'm going to put my stem facing down. Stem facing down, it's going to be on the left side. So whenever it's down towards the bottom, stem goes up on the right. Whenever it's up towards the top, stem goes down on the left. And this is our half note. Our half note, and as you can maybe guess, since a whole is going to be worth 4 full counts, if I have a half note, 2 half notes together are going to equal 1 whole. And if the whole is 4, half of 4 is going to be 2. These will be 2 counts each. So a half note equals 2 counts. Our next note value, it also has a stem that operates the same way as our half note stem. However, our note head at the bottom is going to be filled in. Whereas before our whole note and our half note were hollow, this is our quarter note, and our quarter note is going to be filled in. I'll go ahead and write it stem down as well. Remember, if the stem is down, it's on the left side. So these are quarter notes, and that means that each one of these is 1/4 of a whole. 1/4 of a whole. So we know that we need 1/4, 2/4, or 1/2, 3/4, and then 4/4 to make a whole. So I'm going to have 4 quarter notes to make one measure. I'm going to go ahead and put in my other 2 so I fill up a full bar. So here are 4 quarter notes, and they would last an entire bar of space in 4/4 time. So because there are 4 of them in a full bar of 4 counts, each quarter note is going to get 1 count. So in 4/4 time, our quarter note is actually going to land right on the beat. Each of these are 1 count. Our next note value is an eighth note. Our eighth note looks a lot like our quarter note, except it has a flag on it. So it's a filled in note with a stem, but it also has what we call a flag on it. This is a singular eighth note. Now, oftentimes in music, eighth notes, they get a little lonely and they like to have friends. So if I had two eighth notes together, I'll go ahead and draw it down below. If you have two eighth notes together, they take those flags and they like to hold hands. I'll go ahead and draw another one here with the stem facing the opposite direction. Here's what an eighth note looks like with the stem facing down. And I will also draw them barred together with the stems facing down as well. That's what those would look like as a pair. Now, you might imagine an eighth note, that probably means that there are 8 of them in a whole, because one of them is going to be worth 1/8, all right? So 1/8 of the whole bar. So that means that each one of these is going to be a half a count long. So these are eighth notes worth a half a count each. Eighth notes worth a half a count each. So that means if you have them barred together, you have to count both of them. Okay? These two together, they don't make a half a beat. Two together is going to be 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. A half plus a half equals 1. So this is one full count, this is one full count. Up here, when they're alone, they're only worth a half a count. And those are eighth notes. And the last note value we're going to talk about is the 16th note. Now these look even more similar to eighth notes because they are filled in, they have a stem, and they also have a flag, but then they have another flag on top of that. So they have basically a double flag. And I've drawn them here with the stem up and the stem down. I'll go ahead and draw them down below because just like our eighth notes, when they get in groups, they like to hold hands, and we call that being barred together. I'll go ahead and bar 4 of them together because that is typically the type of grouping that we might see them in, because 4 of them together are going to create one whole beat. Because if this is 4 in one beat, and I have 4 beats overall, I'm going to have 4, 8, 12, 16. If I fill up my whole measure full of 16th notes, 4, 8, 12, 16, that'll give me, each one of these is 1/16 of the measure, or 1/4 of a beat. 1/4 of a beat. Again, these are called 16th notes. One-quarter of a beat. I'll draw them over here to the side with these stems facing down and still barred together. This is what they would look like. So just to review the note values that we have been over, we started out with our whole note, which was our longest duration. And then we moved on to our half notes, which 2 half notes are going to create one whole note. 2 half notes equal one whole note. They're the same length of time when you put 2 of them together versus one whole note. From there, we talked about our quarter notes. They look just like our half notes, only there are 2 in each half note, so they're technically twice as fast as a half note. They look just like them, except they are filled in. They're solid in the note head. After quarter notes, we talked about our eighth notes. You might see how this pattern is working. So we have 2 eighth notes in every quarter note. I'll go ahead and bar them together when I draw these. Our eighth notes. And then finally our 16th notes, which you guessed it, you have 2 16th notes and 1 8th note. And I will put these barred together as well. Just remember, these have a double bar on them, whereas the 8th notes have a singular bar. These are a little sloppy, but I hope you get the idea. Our 16th notes down here at the bottom, we're going to have 16 of them that equal 1 whole note. Okay, off to the side here, I'm going to go ahead and put our note values, how many counts they're each worth. So we remember a whole note is worth 4 counts. 1 half note is worth 2, because if we put 2 together, 2 plus 2 equals 4. You see how that works? So quarter notes, each is 1. 8th notes, each are a half. And 16th notes, each are a quarter of a beat. Thank you.